You'll need the mic.
I need the mic.
I think so. Yep.
And you said 2 minutes for their introduction.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
All right, if everybody could get seated, please. My name is Lisa Meeker, and I'm the Republican Party of Madison County Chair.
Yeah, here, take that mic. Yep. Where did you pull out that mic?
My name is Lisa Meeker, and I'm the Chairman of the Republican Party of Madison County. On behalf of our officers and our board members, I would like to welcome everyone to our first candidate forum. We will be hosting 3 in total. The forum tonight is the State Representative Forum for District 81 and District 91. I would like to thank Americans for Prosperity, specifically Michael Frazier, who is the Government Relations Liaison, and Liam Gallagher, who is the Deputy State Director, for partnering with us and helping us host this. Now I'd like to have Michael Frazier go over the rules for our forum, please.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, and welcome to the Madison County GOP Forum for the state representative candidates. I'm happy to be here. Tonight's forum, there's a few guidelines to go over. First of all, please know that all questions were given to candidates beforehand. We wanted this to be a thoughtful and engaging forum, everybody to do their homework, because when you're in the legislature, we want well-attuned, educated legislators on the issue for Madison County. Tonight, there will be an introduction of 3 minutes by each candidate. Each candidate will be given the same questions and will have the opportunity to respond. If there is a point of conflict, the candidate will be given time to respond with 60 seconds. For each question, you will be given 2 minutes, okay? And you will also be given a 4-minute closing. Now, my good friend here will hold up sign cards to let you know where we're at. Please know, as ground rules, we will cut off candidates, and we will also ensure that answers are substantive. Okay? Everybody was given their questions beforehand. We want real responses. Are you ready to rock and roll? All right, folks, we did flip a coin, and we are going to start with Mr. Gallagher in the 91st District. And Mr. Hensley, you get the first question.
Introduction.
Opening statement. Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks for everybody coming out tonight. I really appreciate the forum tonight. Thank you, Madison County Republican Party. Thank you for American Prosperity for hosting the event. The reason I'm running for the state representative is I'd like to go back serving people. I've been in politics before, 9 years as a magistrate. I just get a really great enjoyment of helping people. I've been that way for all my life. It's the GOP for my primary, and I hope all of you can realize that the reason I'm running is to serve you, to help you, to go to Frankfurt, to fight for you. And I'm the type of person that I'm very humble, but I'm bold, and I stand very strong on my issues, my policies. I'm a Christian conservative all my life, been a Republican all my life, and I've served as a magistrate for 9 years. I was elected to the Farm Agency Board here in Madison and Estill County. I'm chairman of the Agriculture Development Council in Estill County. I worked 40 years for the railroad. I have 5 children, 2 in Irvin, 1 grandchild. I have 3 children that live in Madison County, with 1 grandson attending Waco Elementary and a granddaughter that'll be there before long. So host a family that lives in Madison County. I went to Madison Central in 1977, 1978. So I've been coming to Madison County all my life. So I'm very familiar with a lot of folks, a lot of businesses, a lot of farmers. I worked on a lot of farms when I was young. Madison County feels like it's my second home. So I'm very familiar with the businesses, the families, and also the culture of Madison County, how it's progressed and how it is progressing. And Madison County is growing, and I'm grateful to have an opportunity to serve Madison County in Frankfurt. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Mr. Billings.
First of all, thank you to the Madison County Republican Party and to Americans for Prosperity for hosting the event. It's a big deal, and it's a large undertaking, and we appreciate it. I've spent my entire life in the 91st District. I'm a small business owner, a farmer, so I understand some of the projects and problems we have with small business development and agriculture in the 91st District. I'm married to my wife, Jennifer, for 40 years. She's a 30-year school teacher. We'll be celebrating 40 years in July. So I'm one of 4 boys who all 3 of my brothers still live and reside in Powell County, and matter of fact, are graduates of Eastern Kentucky University. As I said, I'm the son of 4 boys. My mother is who's with us tonight, is a 33-year educator in the Powell County school system and also a graduate of Eastern Kentucky University. My father was a 25-year law enforcement veteran, so backing the blue, public safety, and supporting our first responders will always be on my radar. Me and my wife made commitments when we got married several years ago that public service was going to be something we were going to be involved in our entire life. I spent 8 years serving on the Kentucky High School Athletic Association Board of Control, 2 years as its chairman. And during my chairmanship, we'd done something that I was very, very proud of. We actually passed a bylaw and a regulation that kept boys in boys sports and girls in girls sports. Probably the greatest accomplishment we had during my tenure. I served for 8 years on the Kentucky FFA Foundation Board, twice as its chairman, where we raised over $3 million during that 5-year period of time to support vocational agriculture, the Kentucky FFA, and agriculture in general. Spent 8 years on the Markham Wallace Hospital Foundation Board, so I understand rural health care and the importance of rural health care. Healthcare economics is something we need to know about. I'm looking very forward to continuing that service. I served as chairman of the Madison County Salvation Army Board, so I got to see a side of our community that we all need to be aware of, regardless of what we do, for those less fortunate than we are, and I was very blessed to be a part of that. I've said this for a long time, and I truly mean this with all sincerity. I have no intentions whatsoever of wanting to go to Frankfort to make a point. My job is to go to Frankfort to make a difference, and I look forward to that opportunity.
Thank you. On this side, Deanna, you're up.
Okay, all right. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad to see you here tonight, and I want to thank the party and thank Americans for Prosperity for putting this on, but I also want to thank you for taking the time to be here. We all lead busy lives, and so it's important that you're making the effort to be here to learn more about the issues. For those of you that don't know me, I serve as your current state representative for District 81. I'm also the chair for the Small Business and Information Technology Committee. Outside of that, at home, I work here as an audiologist. And tonight, I'd like for you to leave here knowing 3 things about me. First of all, I'm a Christian wife and mother, and those 2 things drive every decision I make and every vote that I take in Frankfort. Our children deserve the right to grow and live and raise their families in communities that are safe and prosperous. Secondly, I'm a small business owner. In fact, I built the largest audiology practice in the whole state before it was sold. I know firsthand the challenges that our businesses have faced. Businesses need stability in order to make decisions, and the solutions and the programs and the processes that we are applying in Frankfort will let our small businesses grow and flourish. Lastly, I'm a rock-solid conservative legislator. In fact, I was recognized by CPAC for my conservative voting record. We have proudly taken votes to protect your Second Amendment, to protect life. We've banned DEI. We've kept men out of women's sports. We've added work requirements to Medicaid. We've done all of these things while at the same time lowering your state income tax level. We've done much of that work. We have much more to do. We have a president who keeps his campaign promises, and I have worked closely with our federal and our local governments to make sure that we are protecting your way of life. And it is my goal that Madison County is the most prosperous and the safest county in all of the 120 counties. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew.
So I'm Andrew Simpson. I'm running for State Representative, 81st District. Glad everybody came out. To you tuning in at home, I know I have some friends all over the state watching. Basically, I'm running my why. My family is the most important thing to me. Secondly, this community. I'm not only from here, but I'm of here. I'm a generational person. My family goes all the way back to the Daniel Boone days when they came in with the cross-cutting saws. We live in Poozy Ridge. I'm a farmer, I'm a small business owner, and I'm a blue-collar worker, just like you are. I'm not going to Frankfurt, like they said, to make a point. I'm going up there to make a difference and work for you guys. I hope I can do that. I know I want to run the government while I'm up there like a business. Fuel consumption. I know as a farmer, as a business owner, fuel consumption is top of the list. I know our current legislators, they want to push this gas tax and sometimes raise your taxes on other things as well. Well, as a business owner, if I go up there, I can cut taxes, I can do a multitude of things, but to run it like a business, you got to make sure that you can cut costs when you can. A lot of people think that the government can just cut costs where it can, whatever. They can. They're just not doing it. We have a supermajority up there. They're working on cutting our income tax. That's great. I want to cut property tax. I want to put more money in your all's people's pockets. I struggle. I know everybody in this room probably struggles. Right now it's tough. As a business owner, when you look at the government, when they raise 30% tax revenue, I can't do that as a business owner. I can't wish that. I can't say I'm going to raise my business 30% in revenue this year. I have to figure out where I'm going to cut costs, whether that be cut old equipment out, sell used things, whatever it may be. But I want to go up there, run it like a business, run it like Trump has, and I appreciate everyone being here, and I'd appreciate your all's support. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates, shall we rock and roll? All right, again, we're going to start off in the same order, and then we'll rotate. When we ask a question, Mr. Hensley, such as with the first question, you'll start, we'll go down this line, and then Deanna will come to you for an answer, okay? Again, you'll have time for rebuttal at the end. So let's get through everybody's responses, and then we'll get to rebuttal. Sound good? Mr. Gallagher.
Well, thank you all for being here. Starting on the issue of affordability, rising property taxes, regulatory compliance costs, and workforce shortages are squeezing small business owners across Madison County. What role should the General Assembly play in lowering the cost of doing business without shifting the burden onto families? And how would you ensure Kentucky remains competitive for locally owned businesses rather than favoring large corporations? Mr. Hensley.
Well, small business is the backbone of America. We all know that. It's the backbone of Richmond and Madison County. It's growing. Madison County is the fourth fastest growing county in Kentucky. We know that it's on the upscale boom. We're going to support small businesses. There's a tax that we think should not be held against small businesses. We need to offer grants for small businesses. We don't need to be taxing small businesses. We have the situation that, they have to pay fees to get started up. We think that small businesses will be there for just so long. Well, we want them to grow. We want them to operate with a future. We need to give them a tax exempt. There's states out there that's offering up to 125,000 tax credits for small businesses. I think that that's one area that we should look at in Kentucky. The situation with small businesses brings solid revenue to Richmond. And we just need to just sit down, roll up our sleeves, go to work for them as much as they're going to work for us.
Mr. Miller.
I think the answer to small business growth has to start with tax incentives. There's a lot of reasons that small businesses don't survive, not only in the 91st district, but across the state. So often, small businesses are forced to pay exorbitant prices just for products they use than to compete with larger corporations. So I think tax incentives is probably the first part of that. We've got some other things going on in Kentucky right now that probably aid small businesses and maybe people right here in the room, and some of it are child care. Child care is an issue for small businesses. I've read some stuff over the last little bit, and matter of fact, there's a couple of House bills out there right now. House Bill 499 a couple of years ago talked about with some child care incentives for small businesses. And it specifically targeted small businesses that had 50 employees or less and done less than $7.5 million a year. Offering some child care incentives may be an opportunity to do that. Currently in House Bill 6 right now, working in Frankfurt right now, that is part of what their intention is to push money towards small businesses in child care incentives. I think there's over 28,000 jobs right now in Kentucky that could go in the workforce had they had child care incentives. I think that aids and abets small businesses and continue to survive in Kentucky, and especially in the 91st District.
Representative Deanna Frazier-Gordon.
I think it's the role of the General Assembly to have an economy and a landscape that is going to attract the businesses here to Kentucky. And I think it's been obvious we are attracting business. We are growing at a tremendous rate. And once those businesses are choosing Kentucky because we have a positive business climate, once they get here, then we need to have the supports around them so to ensure that they're successful. We have many grant programs. We have KPDI money. We have regional investment money. So we're putting those supports around the businesses to ensure their success. And when you think about small businesses, I had a business that had locations in many different cities. And something that's important for our businesses is streamlining forms and streamlining reporting activities. So just this week, we passed a bill out of the one of the House committees that would allow businesses to be able to have one form. Those of you that have businesses in different counties, they're asking for the same information, but we're having to put it on different forms. And so this is one way that we can reduce some of that red tape and let businesses focus on their modality without having red tape and bureaucracy.
Mr. Simpson.
Yeah, so basically cutting taxes, that's a huge expense that we have right now in the state with small businesses. I face it, all of you face it. You can cut property tax. I'm not sure why that's not been looked into more. Cutting the red tape, like Deanna said, we've got to cut these businesses' red tape. When you go in for licensings, I'm going through it right now. It's constant. It's permits this, permits that. Everything you do is just another $200 or $1,000 here. It adds up over time. You're choking the life out of these small businesses. Just look back in 2020, how many small businesses went under because of the administration in Frankfurt. That was all Bashir. Unfortunately, the General Assembly couldn't call themselves back, but then you look at just in this county in particular, I want to expand the educational role with the Ignite. I think that should be in all across the state. They do a fantastic job. They funnel these kids that are not college ready into the workforce training. I myself am not a product of going to college, but if they had an Ignite program back 20 years ago when I was going through school, and that was an option, I would have been making 40 plus an hour being a welder or pipe fitter or something. That'll help these small businesses draw right out of high school. But I think this county is doing a great job. Our school board, I think they've done leaps and bounds here in the county. But I want to expand that across the state.
Inslee, 60-second rebuttal.
Well, I think that we need to really reach out for grants for small businesses. We need to get our planning for the state to assist in other areas. But, they pay the fee to start a small business. And then they just up on and on. The red tape bureaucracy that we have for small businesses needs to be cleaned up. They're going to be employing people, paying taxes, and that's going to be a great beneficial for the small business. So we need to clean it up a little bit, go into legislator and say, what can we do for these small businesses? What else can we do? They're the backbone of our future.
Mr. Billings.
Again, I think small business are very capable of taking care of themselves as long as we let them go to work. We can look around Madison County and look at the small businesses that have thrived here for generations, and they've done it in spite of our state government with licensing bureaucracy, the failure to give the same tax incentives they give to a major corporation. House Bill 451 right now is talking about maybe getting rid of the LLET tax, the employment tax. I think that's a great alternative to trying to keep small businesses right here in our community. There's a vast number of things we can do. I don't think we need to tell small businesses how to operate. I think we just need to make it easier for them to operate.
Ms. Frazier-Gordon.
I don't have anything to add. I think that, small businesses are an important part of our economy, and we need to do everything that we can to support them and give them the same advantages that they do as large corporations. I filed a bill this week that would allow small businesses to be able to offer a state-sponsored retirement plan. So I think some of the childcare, your job is more than just your paycheck, and so any of those additional resources, such as the childcare that was mentioned and things like that, helps to support a worker and small businesses.
Thank you. Mr. Simpson?
Well, as a small business owner and as a farmers, small business owners, they don't want another government handout. Pull the red tape, let them thrive. I mean, it's amazing the innovative minds that we have in this room, in this county, this district, all across the state. If you pull some of that red tape back, some of those overburdened government taxes, and you just let them thrive, they don't need a handout.
Thank you. And folks, just we're new to this. We're also moderators. So if somebody wants the 60 seconds, of course, we can abide by it. If you don't want to take the 60 seconds, please just let us know. If it would be easier, candidates, would it be helpful if I ask, would you like the 60 seconds? We just go roundabout. That'd be.
Just ask if there's any rebuttal.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Good. All right. Democracy in progress. So we're back over here, Mr. Simpson. Agriculture. Kentucky is the largest beef producing state east of the Mississippi, and Madison County ranks number 2 statewide. What is the biggest issue facing Madison County farmers right now, and what role, if any, should the state play in addressing it?
Yeah, glad I got that question. I can really speak to this. So as a small business owner, I sell direct-to-consumer beef. I have to drive an hour and a half to go to a USDA processor to do that. Why don't we have any processors in this county? I think that's something that we can look at. I think that I can work with Jonathan Shell. I think I can bring that to this district, to this county, and not just on a small scale, but on a large scale as well. We still have a ton of acres. We can put something there. We have all these industrial parks. We need a kill plant here, whether that be for chicken, beef, poultry, or pork, whatever it may be. We also need those small little micro custom operators that I can take a beef to for a custom or a USDA inspection. I would like there to be no USDA inspection if you talk about the Prime Act that Congressman Massey has tried to push through. That would allow us as farmers to be able to sell you beef without all the red tape. Just another form that the government comes in and they think that they know best.
Ms. Frazier-Gordon.
Basically, just the cost of doing business. Farming is one of the only industries that I know that you purchase everything at retail and then you turn around, put your labor and your time into it, and then you have to sell it at wholesale. So that just presents a challenge of its own.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, and I don't know that this is on. So. Okay. So again, farmers are having to purchase everything at retail and then turn around and sell it at wholesale. And so when you have catastrophic events that happen, there's really no wiggle room there if something were to happen. The other biggest issue that I see facing our farming community is the fact that we have aging farmers. We need to encourage new young farmers to come into the profession. Agriculture is about 18% of our total economy in Kentucky. We are very supportive of our farming community and our farmers. We are looking at ways that we can incentivize young farmers, delay taxes, and provide those incentives so we can keep Kentucky strong in this industry.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. And folks, I'm going to pass around this because I think this is what's supposed to be going around too. So if we can keep the mic in the middle, these mics in the middle, I think that'll take care of the issue.
I think the biggest thing we're facing in the 91st District is marketing. As was mentioned earlier, just what we need in terms to market the product for the Kentucky-based farmer is a problem. One of the things that I think has to be done is we have to maintain local control of that market. I don't have a problem with economic development. They've been very blessed in Western Kentucky. For example, the 200 acres that was used in Western Kentucky for the ethanol plant that generated over $40 million in dividend payments to their local farmers there. So there's going to have to be some investment in some property. But at the same time, I think one of the biggest problems facing Madison Countyans is the saving of production agricultural property. Right now, currently, House Bill 417, Speaker Osborne has introduced House Bill 417 that's offering low-income housing to young and growing farmers that want to maintain production agricultural property. I think that's definitely part of what needs to be on the horizon for us. Of course, you've got the ag development boards and the ag finance boards that offer other opportunities to do that. But I think, number one, markets. We need to find open markets for our farmers to not have to travel to sell their products. And then we need to protect production agriculture and land. I've been an agriculturalist my entire life. So trust me, I have lived it, I've smelled it, I've breathed it, and fought it tooth and toenail. But that is something I think we can do going forward is continuing to work with that. Our legislature's trying, but I don't think they have enough people there that are able to sell that product. And I think we really need to go to Frankfurt with that intent that we really are trying to maintain production agriculture in Kentucky.
Agriculture, Madison County. We just slipped to third. Pulaski County just moved up a notch on us on our cattle operation. We have 214,000 acres of agriculture in Madison County. We've produced a lot of agriculture in this community. We have 1,164 farms in Madison County. It's time for us to start looking at a plan that, for the ones that want to keep farming, to assist. We need to go to Frankfurt. I personally think we should do away with property taxes on agricultural land. It's not going to hurt us that much. I'm telling you, in the property taxes, and that'll be an incentive for young farmers. If it saves them a few hundred, maybe it'll save them a few thousand. It's according on the land side. But any land in the agriculture industry, I think we can do away with the agriculture tax and property taxes. I think that's a great asset to our future. My farm is in a trust fund. It goes all to my children. I've been a farmer since 1984, running a cow and calf operation as we speak. I live it every day. I know it. Now that I've been retired, I'm really enjoying it. But we need to be in Frankfurt trying to come up with ideas to keep our farmers in a prosperous, money-making area that they feel good at the end of the year after they've worked hard out in these winters and everything. We need to start supporting them a lot more with more incentives. We need to boost up our youth, give them the advantages to take the family farm and keep it going.
Thank you. Candidates, 60-second rebuttal.
Absolutely. I'll try to make this fast. So I don't think there's anybody that is more fit to go up to Frankfurt and talk about agriculture. I was the District 8 Young Farmer Chair for Kentucky Farm Bureau. We pushed policy through. I've been all over the country touring ranches and farms. I know what they face because I'm going through the same things. I'm a member here of the Cattlemen's Association, been a board of director for a few years now. And you talk about loss of lands here in the county. We're losing property here at a rapid pace, and it's really scary to think about that I'm going to have to compete with a developer to purchase that ground or even lease that ground. People say that I am anti-growth. That is not true. I am pro-smart growth. Smart growth needs to take place in this county. We have to have infrastructure set up for these farmers. We have to have things that combats these issues. And there's only one full-time farmer in the House right now, and hopefully I'm the next one. Yep, sorry.
Thank you. All right, Representative. Gentlemen.
60 seconds.
I've had farmers back for quite a while now. I was elected to serve Madison, Estill County on Region 4 board. I've met in meetings, and I went to battle for them. I can remember we had a flood up in Estill County. Federal government said, hey, we're going to assist. Well, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what they were going to give was minute to what that flood did to the farmers. I went back and said, we're not gonna do that, we're gonna give them more. They came back and they doubled it. If I hadn't stood up for the farmers, they wouldn't have got twice as what they were gonna get from that flood. So I also serve on the Regional Development Agriculture Board in Esther County. So I've been there, I live it, and now I support it as a member.
Again, we need to continue to protect production agriculture property. I think if we're going to continue farming in the next generation, we've got to continue to promote production agriculture. And by promoting production agriculture, regardless of how it is, we've got to find ways to attract younger men and women to the agricultural industry. I don't need to tout my record or talk about my record in agriculture. Get online and check what Darrell Billings has done for vocational agriculture and the promotion of agriculture over the past 25 years of my life. That has been a passion of mine, and has been a goal of mine, and will always continue to be that case.
And candidates, thanks for your grace while we worked out a few technical issues. Thank you for that.
Alrighty, on this question, starting with Mr. Billings, same on the agriculture issue. Madison County is rapidly growing and development pressures are increasing. Should Kentucky strengthen urban-rural service boundaries or farmland protections to manage growth? Why or why not?
Well, I spoke a little bit about earlier. Saving production agriculture property is a must. Because of what's happened with the growth in Fayette County and their boundaries and where they're at, they're starting to migrate to Madison, to Montgomery, to Bath, to Bourbon, Jessamine, to try to take properties that are production agricultural properties. We've got to continue to find ways to do that. House Bill 417, as we talked about earlier, low interest loans for production agricultural property, as long as it stays in production agriculture. Ag finance, ag development, those boards are all a way to do that. However, I don't think it is the state's job to take a family who has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sell a piece of property and keep them from selling it. It's not Kentucky Farm Bureau's policy, and it's not been the policy of anyone else. I don't think we should take that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity away from a family that wishes to do that. However, if we can find ways to migrate a young farmer or a young potential farmer into that property through things like House Bill 417, through ag development, through ag finance, there are a lot of ways to maintain production agriculture. And we've got to do a better job at enticing our farmers. And I don't care what you say, that starts at an early age. I've got an 11-year-old grandson that would rather help me feed cattle as he would play basketball. That's where it starts. And I think that's where it's got to continue. If we're going to continue to maintain our status in agriculture that we currently have. I currently have the endorsement of our Ag Commissioner, Jonathan Schell. He's told me time and time again, he's been to our community on multiple occasions to speak to our young farmers, trying to continue that young farming tradition.
Okay, I know there's a growth in Madison County. We built 1,124 permits for homes last year in Madison County. That's quite a few homes, probably, but the demand's probably twice that. So we've got to get together and come up with a good comprehensive plan to help the growth of Madison County and also maintain, if somebody wants to keep farming and keep their farm, we need to support that also. So it's going to take some hand-in-hand support for the communities. The comprehensive plan will cover that. We need to set up, like I said before, we need to set up incentives for the younger people to keep these farms, get some assistance. We have the federal loans that can help them buy their family farm from their heirs or whatever. I'm not going to tell people what to do with their land. They want to sell it, that's fine. But I want incentives to keep the younger generation, if they want to farm. Beef is absolutely a way to go right now in farming in Madison County and District 91. It will support buying a farm. I know the farm prices are going up. But we need to lend for the future. It's time. Because at this rate we're going right now, I think the comprehensive plan should be covering that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so to touch on growth here in the county, obviously, if you have a set of eyes, a set of ears, and you drive through this county, you know that it's changing rapidly. That's something I plan on taking up. Like they said, I also don't want to take that property value away from that 80-year-old farmer that has worked his whole life. His kids doesn't want anything to do with it, so he's going to retire and he's going to move to Florida and live out his days. But speaking on that, eminent domain is a huge issue in this state, and it's not been updated in 50 years. Thankfully, last year, the legislator, Ryan Bivens, filed a bill on eminent domain. Didn't go anywhere. Him and Dawson have also filed a bill this year. Hopefully it does something. I don't think it goes strong enough. I think it could impact a little bit further. We have several farmers in this county that are affected by eminent domain. I know this issue, speaking on, Scott Gabbard in the airport situation. It's a terrible situation that the government's put him in. I also know this is near and dear to my heart. My grandparents also fought with eminent domain. The Berea bypass is 7 feet from their bedroom window, and now the city of Berea will not let them rezone that for commercial, so they can go to Florida, which they're at right now, and I hope they're watching live. We need to make farming profitable again. I mean, farming used to be profitable when you talk about tobacco base. We've got to make that tobacco base the same profitability on when you talk cattle, grain, poultry, whatever it may be. Young Farmer Transition, KFB's initiative. That's a great program that we can expand on. And we need markets closer. That's another issue that we have here in this county. We don't have any elevators. We have a stockyards, thankfully, but I think we can expand on that as well.
Thank you very much for the question. A little bit of perspective. Madison County is approximately 280,000 acres. It's been that way since 1789 when we became a state. Currently, we have 83% of that still in agriculture. And I know that it looks like we're putting blacktop on every blade of grass. I remember riding motorcycles where Deer Creek was. I remember when Richmond Center wasn't there. But we have to have growth. We have to have opportunity for our families and for our children. So I think what's most important is that you have a voice of where that growth occurs and how it occurs. We have planning and zoning boards. You need to be able to show up and to voice your opinion and to do thoughtful growth and to do that in a responsible way. As far as farmers, we also need to be able to give them a choice so that's not their only choice, just like many people have spoken to tonight. So I think it's my role in the General Assembly to make sure that farmers can decide that if they want to keep their land in farming, and we can incentivize that to occur. We also need new ways of people to sell their produce. For example, we are doing a new initiative with the Department of Agriculture for produce and goods to be used in our schools and in our hospitals. So we need to make sure that we have ways of people to bring their goods to market.
All right, candidate, 60 seconds. Anybody want to rebuttal?
Yeah, so she mentioned 83%. I just want to know where. I mean, if you, like I said, if you have a pair of eyes, you have a pair of ears, and you drive through this county, it's changing rapidly. The only thing that saves me is I live out Posey Ridge, and everywhere out there is steeper than a cow's face. You can't build a subdivision out on Posey Ridge, thankfully. But drive through the county, it's changing. We have to have smart growth in place. I would rather that urban sprawl be closer to Richmond, build up, not out. Quit taking our farmlands, quit taking our jobs, quit taking our livelihoods. We rely on it.
It's fine.
20 years ago, somebody had the vision of Madison County to build some infrastructure going all the way to Waco. We have sewer out there now. And that area is going to grow. It puts right up to the 91st district. So we see a lot of ground getting turned over and put in homes on. So the other farmland, 91st district in Madison County probably has the most farmland. So my goal would be to, like I said, put incentives out there for the farmers. Do away with the property tax on agricultural land. It's another incentive that people don't have to pull the money out. Every little bit helps the farmer. And we need to just stick together. Frankfurt needs to support more incentives.
I need about 10 seconds. Bottom line, I think it's local control. The legislature needs to stay out of local control issues, whether it's development, whether it's farmland, That needs to be a local decision decided by local voters, by local elected officials. Local control needs to decide how Madison County grows.
Thank you, and we will certainly be talking about zoning policy here as well. So let's switch frames and talk about healthcare. We've had a governor talk about that rural hospitals are going to be closing, even though in the big beautiful bill there was a $50 billion rural healthcare fund, including the millions that were sent to Kentucky, thanks to Congressman Brett Guthrie. As everybody knows, that part of that rural healthcare decision is that states that had something called a certificate of need actually lost funding in that. So Kentucky has become one of the highest Medicaid participant rates in the country with significant 340B funding and CON laws. How do you feel, let me make sure I get this question right, what reforms would you support to reduce cost and improve outcomes without punishing vulnerable Kentuckians out of care? I appreciate the teamwork, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. No, so the certificate of need is something that has become more of an issue in our northern Kentucky area, in our Bowling Green area. Ambulance care is expensive care, and it's essentials care. And we want to make sure, especially when you call on an ambulance, that they show up, that they're qualified to do their job, and that they do it well. And the certificate of need ensures that we don't have duplication of services. So because Kentucky has areas that are so urban and some that are rural, I really feel like that we need to explore a regional approach so we can make sure that taxpayer dollars are protected. There's a report that came out recently from Congressman Guthrie's office that is actually showing that 340B or the certificate of need is varied. So I think it needs to be looked into. I think for our area, we have a wonderful qualified ambulance service, but in some areas, like Northern Kentucky and Western Kentucky, it is something that is a big topic of discussion.
Mr. Simpson.
Yeah, speaking on that, yes, I would support a bill to repeal CON. Mostly because you cut the red tape and allow these businesses to start here. It would allow them to compete with each other. So through competition, just like any small business, if you do a better job than someone else, they're going to either lower their cost or upgrade their quality. Quality has to be there. Quality will weed itself out. Give it 6 months, a year time. If a local urgent care or something of that nature is not doing up to par, they're going to go out of business, point blank. It's basically we need to put it back into competition. Capitalist. We are capitalists here. People tend to forget that. Let these businesses, they are businesses, they are there for profits, but they're also there to serve the people. Let them thrive in a competition, here in the county.
On the 340 bill, we need to make it simpler, reforms, and lower the cost and improve care. We need to go to our local clinics and take, the 340B can be rewarding for the doctors and clinics on 340B. We can support primary care, 340B. We can focus more on the patients, give them drive the doctor to give better care, reward those doctors. Those are small businesses. We have several in Estill County, small. We have several in Madison County. As far as I know, the hospitals are not hurting at all. The big beautiful bill kind of brought this up and made everybody kind of aware on it. The federal money will be sent to the state now, and we're going to have to make up a little difference in it. But I think more than anything, we need to support our small businesses, continue to keep the clinics open. I think the hospitals will be well run. If they're a well-run hospital, I think we're going to be okay on that. The 340B needs to be really just more for the patients, providing better health care. And this will maybe lower some cost. It's all about lowering. Inflation hit us hard 4 years ago, so we need to just start supporting these small businesses, clinics.
Your question was regarding 340B, correctly?
And CON.
And
Yes.
So as a combined question, 340B is unsustainable at its current trajectory. I don't care how good of an economist you are. When we've got $800 million in fraud in Kentucky, we got a problem. 30% of our state budget is Medicaid. So we've got to take a look at that and look at the quality of care that we're actually producing. I'm for market capitalism, and I'm definitely for repealing certificate of need. I think maybe the start with certificate of need probably needs to be with dialysis and ambulatory services and mental health and perhaps imaging, and then completely pull it on out once our hospitals are ready to do that. I think pulling certificate of need right now immediately would probably be devastating, because I'm not sure we have enough marketed capitalists ready to do a full, complete repeal of it. However, I would be for repealing that and getting it started in that direction. We're going to have to look at eligibility checks when it comes to Medicare and Medicaid. When it's cheaper to get in an ambulance and go to an emergency room to check on your head cold than it is to get up and show at your local clinic the next day, there's a problem. And that's where fraud is taking in place. We've got to do a better job with that. Right now, I would be open to anything that continues to increase quality health care, but still allowing market capitalism. I'm from Eastern Kentucky. I'm in Powell County. I'm 35 minutes from Breathitt County. Had it not been for market capitalism, Jackson and Breathitt County would not have a hospital right now. It's a funded hospital, a privately funded hospital. So had certificate of need been there would not be a hospital in Jackson, Kentucky. So yes, I'm for repealing the certificate of need, but I'm also for looking at the fraudulent use of 340B and the problem we're having.
Thank you, sir. 60-minute rebuttal?
60 minutes? All right.
Sorry, 60 second. 60 second.
The certificate of need needs to be, I didn't know we were supposed to answer both of the things. So we need to take a look at that. As we have always said, the waste, the fraud needs to be checked out. I mean, we do not want this to go away completely without looking at it. Yeah, we want to repeal it, but we want to just not take away everything at once. This needs to be a gradual thing. I tell you that when we have a situation where our people are going in and it's cost them so much money to get their care, we've got to take a situation out of the retired people and put it more for the care of the people.
All right, I'll make it fast. Fraud prevention, they both touched on it. So look what's going on in Minnesota right now. I mean, look at the overspending and just the waste, just the utter fraud that's going on with those daycares. Same thing's going on with the health system here in the state. We need to reduce bureaucracy. Bureaucracy gets involved, they take cuts, period. Reduce bureaucracy, if not eliminate it totally. The goal should be quality care at lower rates, not endless spending. You can't just throw money at this problem and it's going to go away. You have to really get down in the grass and look at it and, all right, sorry.
Got 30 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
How much time I got now?
20 seconds.
All right. Like I said, the goal should be quality care and at lower rates. You have those lower rates. You want better quality care. You want market capitalists. Do these things, and you will. All right, here you go.
I have nothing to add.
This was not designed to be health care for all. It was designed to be a bridge to get folks to private health care. We've got to do a better job with that, whether it's work requirements, regardless of what it is. We've got to do a better job taking care of our fraud. Again, this was not designed to be the vehicle that we travel in for medical insurance. It was simply to be a bridge to get folks to private insurance. We've got to do a better job at administering that, not just on the state level. We've got to do it on the local level as well. And until we do that, we're going to look up in 2 years, 2 years in the next biennium, we're going to have $1,200 million in fraud. it's got to stop, and it's got to stop pretty quick. Again, 30% of our budget's getting eat up in Kentucky on Medicaid, and that fraud has got to stop.
Next question will be on the state income tax. We'll start with Mr. Hensley. Kentucky has pursued gradually reducing the income tax, and revenues have shifted as a result. First part of this question is, do you support continuing to move to a 0% income tax rate? And then, do you believe the state is moving at the right pace, too fast, too slow, or just right? And please explain.
Okay, state income tax, state income tax dropped to 3.5. And we want to get lower. I mean, that's a great asset for our state of Kentucky, for the employees. At first, I thought we were going just right. But now, from what I understand, we're looking at putting on taxes. We're going here and there, looking at different situations. We've got some shortfall. So right now, I like for it to go slower. I really do. I think we were going a little bit too fast on this. And also, we got to look at some other avenues of taking the state tax and just leaving it where it is right now. I'm for it going to zero, don't get me wrong. I'd love to be in Tennessee, just like Tennessee. But the shortfall, I think we have plenty of money in the rain fund. It's called the rainy fund, rainy day fund. So we can supplement that this time. If there's shortfalls in the budget, we can supplement that. But going down the road, we're going to have to really take a good look at what it's costing us in the corporate tax versus the state tax. We were short in one, but we made it up in the other. So we've really got to be careful of not going too fast with this state income tax going to zero. We do not want to stop funding for all kinds of different areas.
Mr. Billings, next.
About that, Darryl.
First of all, I don't want to be anything like Tennessee. And I'm teasing. I'm joking. I'm a diehard blue and purple guy. So, it's costing us about $700 million a year to drop our income tax 0.5% a year, down from 6% in 2018 to 3.5%. The state of Kentucky has put $3.5 billion into the pockets of our taxpayers with that drop. So I think we're moving in the right pace. We've just got to do a better job, as I spoke to earlier, about some of the fraud that we're looking at. I don't want to, just because I've got a rainy day fund, don't mean I want to rob it. It's a rainy day fund for a reason. And so, yes, I think we're moving in the right direction. I think that intent is to continue. Now, do we have to slow it down maybe this session? Possibly. But it doesn't need to stop. That $3.5 billion into the pockets of our Kentucky taxpayers is priceless. So I think we need to continue down that road. We can't do what Kansas did and completely drop it. They're in the process now going through a special session, but just to try to find a way to keep their government open. I don't want to do that in Kentucky for sure. But we, by no shape, form, or fashion, are in a situation that we cannot continue the process we're on and maintain the quality of life that we've been giving Kentuckians over the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we should just keep going at the pace we're going. We're going in the right direction. Let's not hold up progress. Let's keep this train going. Let's keep lowering these income taxes. But I'd go a step further. I'd go get rid of property taxes. Allow these businesses, allow these people to thrive. They are innovative. They will do what's right. They will make wonderful businesses. They'll have businesses like Elon Musk or SpaceX or Tesla or whatever. Let them grow. Let them do it without the burden of the government coming in and taking care of you. Your all's hard-earned dollars. The problem is they're not taking care of your hard-earned dollars. There's a lot of waste. There's a lot of fraud. There's money that goes out to organizations and things that don't really deserve it. We deserve it as taxpayers. As a taxpayer, I would like to pay zero taxes. All of you all would like to pay zero taxes. I don't think it's feasible right now, but I hope in the future we can work towards that. We can let these businesses, these small businesses grow. We can let you all grow. We can we gotta manage our budgets. We gotta make our state with the income tax, property tax, whatever, we have to compete with these other states and bring in businesses from Tennessee. I don't wanna be like Tennessee either. I can't stand the color orange. So we've gotta compete with them. We have to bring those large businesses here, but at the right business at the right time. You saw what happened in Western Kentucky with the Ford plant. We gave those people way too much money, as it is $250 million in a tax incentive. They have 0 jobs there now. The contractors that came in were more than likely out of state, and if they were, they're contract workers and they're shipped out. So we have to do a better job here in this state managing our budget and our revenue that we get.
Thank you. We are on the right track. We don't have a revenue problem. We do have a little bit of a spending problem, and we are reining that in, and we're calling that out. You probably saw Allison Ball's report and her audit results. It was alarming to us, and it should be alarming to you. But we have made a responsible approach to reducing our state income tax. We want you to have more money in your pocket. We feel like you can spend your money best. We don't want to go the route of Kansas, and that's why we put those triggers in place. Unfortunately, we are having to take a pause. We did also pass a measure, so if we can't lower it that full half point, if we can lower it any portion at all, that's exactly what we're going to do. And I know reducing property tax, I don't like paying property tax, and I'd like to get rid of them and reduce it too. But we have this funny little thing called the Constitution, and it pretty much tells local governments the measures that they have and the ways that they can raise local revenue. It would take a constitutional amendment to change that. We would put that forward. Our General Assembly has put forth a modernization taxation bill. Unfortunately, that did not pass. But we need to look at our tax code, absolutely. It hasn't been addressed in a long time, and we're the first General Assembly to look at reducing income tax to use it as an economic stimulus.
Yes, just to touch on a little bit what she said, we don't have a spending problem. Frankfurt has a spending problem. Send people up there that can control that spending problem. Thank you.
Hold on. Representative Frazier, do you want 60 seconds? Frazier Gordon?
Our budget was about $10 billion, and it ballooned through the Bashir, or through before we took control and had supermajority. So we are putting those measures in place to reduce our budget. We have the thing that's called the base. About 80% of our budget is in what we call the base, and those are programs that have been around for a long, long time. We're beginning to pull back the onions on that, and so we can see exactly what is in there, and we're asking the administration to come to the table. That's why House Bill 500, and I know there's a lot of angst about House Bill 500, it's essentially a skeleton. We have a budget of $16 billion. The governor's office put in requests for $10 billion of that. So we're having them come to the table. We're having them articulate exactly why they need that money, and we're nipping that in the bud.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, budget $16 billion. We just found out where our auditor found 20-something million. How much more waste is out there? Would it be safe to say there's 5% of $15 billion of waste in our state government? It'd be worth looking at, I can tell you that. Then that's the way I would like to pursue that, is look at all the waste that we can get. We just found a lot here recently. Property tax, I think we should freeze property tax assessments. I don't think it's going to hurt our budget. I think we're building homes in Madison County at $1,000 to $2,000. That's new property taxes. I think we can freeze them. Sure, I'd love to do away with property taxes, but I'm not somebody that's just going to jump out there and start taking money out of Frankfurt until I get some solid numbers together. And that's what, in my opinion, that's what a good person does in Frankfurt. He covers it all before he makes a decision.
Mr. Frazier, are we going to go into the property tax question next?
Yes.
Okay, I have no rebuttal.
We will get to it. All right, no rebuttal? Cool. All right. Miss Representative Deanna Frazier Gordon. Judge Reagan, yeah, let's go ahead and pass the mic. We're going to come back to it. Yeah. We will get to it, I promise. Yeah. All right. So, folks, speaking of taxes and local taxes, we do know that when it comes to housing our inmates and the jail problems, we do know that it has created a strain upon our local county government. And I have to say, in Madison County, we should be proud that Judge Reagan Taylor has led the initiative at CAECO for the purposes of doing jail reform, including a proposal to create a regional jail, including $1 million incentive, and to require for the state to cover an inmate held longer than 60 days. And when our jails are only making $35.34 per day on an inmate, these are some serious reforms that our localities are looking for. Do you support this reform, yes or no, and explain your reasoning, Representative?
Yes, I would absolutely support this reform. You know, our jail is the biggest burden, and that's on our county budget, and that's your tax dollars. And so when money is going into the jail, it's preventing it from going to other resources that we all could benefit from. We have had several task forces on this issue because there's many different inputs that we needed to hear from. We needed to hear from our county judges. We needed to hear from DOC. We needed to hear about transportation between jails and many different things. And so we have come up with a regionalization approach. We are blessed to have such a county that is growing. We have all of our surrounding counties that are not growing. So we need to look at that in a regional way. Does it make sense for all of those other counties to have jails? I don't think so. And so we would be able to incentivize and pay jails for their actual costs that they are incurring for housing inmates.
Simpson.
Yeah, so, I would support that. Here's why. So, back in the summer, I was in Fulton County with some friends of mine with Farm Bureau, and one of their magistrates down there, I was asking about the jail. We have a huge issue. Everybody in this county knows that we have an issue in the jail. It's not exclusive to this area. It's across the state. I asked him, their population's super small. I said, what's y'all's jail situation look like? He said, we have a regional jail. He said, business is booming. He said, it's the #1 driver of the economy in our county. I said, really? I said, there's a lot of people that are opposed to a regional jail. So I had to think about that, and I had to dig down deep. So yes, I would be in favor of that. If it's working there, I don't know why it can't work here. Also, reducing the county burden by getting rid of these state unfunded mandates. The county is choked down. The state passes these laws, they say, here, you have to do this. There's no funding that comes with that. They are choked. The life is getting choked out of them. Just not on the jail, but other things as well. I think we can reduce that in Frankfort and let local control take over and let them do what they do best. The other issue I have with the jail back in 2019, we all had a disagreement. There was a lot of controversy around that. But I think we don't need to pay for a new jail when the one we have is not paid for now. If there's state tax dollars out there, revenue that we can use, and we can generate revenue from a regional jail, I would be 100% in favor of that. Thank you.
Well, serving as a magistrate in the 90s, we had this problem then. We had to take money out of the general fund and put it over to the jail fund. So this has been a long time coming. I think your Madison County jail fund's 4.7. Always probably putting another 2 or 3 million in it to make it work. So yes, I am for reforming this. Regional jail is a way to definitely be looked at. I think it's got 39 sponsors on it right now, if I read right from last Friday. So it's looking very positive. The jail can't decide how long that inmate's going to be before he gets his court date. Might be 10 days, 20 days. It comes sometimes months, maybe a year, where that's on the county. And then, we don't get reimbursed if that jail time is counted in the sentence. That's money that the county didn't get back. So we need to look at that. Hopefully the state will look at that and start giving that money back in the reform bill. I can tell you that we definitely need this. I think it's the right way to approach this for our jails. It's going to help the counties tremendously. Estill County sends their prisoners to the Middle Fork Prison in Batable, $32 a day. It's helped Estill County a lot. So we needed to reach out to the other counties and start this regional reform.
I'm for regionalization of the jails without question. The only question I would have is what about the communities that have invested $15, $20 million invested in their SAP programs, invested in some of their programs, and they're now going to be busted because they're going to have to go regionalization, and their control is taken away. Their local control is taken away. As long as local control can be maintained through regionalization, I'm for that. But when it takes it away from communities that have already made financial commitments to a jail system, and I'm talking about financial systems that could potentially bankrupt a community. I live in one. So that would be my only concern with regionalization. I think CAECO will do a good job helping with that regionalization. I know Madison County has done an exceptional job trying to promote it. And like we said, 40-plus sponsors on that bill. I think it's probably going to happen. However, I think we need to be very careful about those communities that have already made commitments to a jail system, that have an existing jail system that is profitable and thriving, before we actually just say, yes, we're all in, all done.
Rebuttal?
Yeah, so here in this county specifically, we have two of the fastest growing cities in the state that are in this county. Currently, Berea and city governments, they don't have to pay our county jail system through, how the laws are made for their inmates. They make up a big chunk of that. The county taxpayer has to have that burden. I think it kind of chokes them out. Also, as you think about state inmates, I met with Reagan a few months ago, and we were talking about the cost or the salary that the state pays daily for these inmates. What if they have dialysis and they have to charge $3,000 a week for 3 times? We're on the hook for that as county taxpayers. So I think a regional development of the jail will help.
All right. Mr. Gallagher?
Absolutely. Well, moving to property taxes. One earlier, Representative Fraser Gordon mentioned that it would take a constitutional amendment to eliminate Kentucky's property taxes. So this question is, do you support passing an amendment to eliminate Kentucky's property taxes? And if so, what revenue sources would you use to replace them? Starting with Mr. Billings.
And again, thank you for the teamwork.
I would support the elimination of property taxes, providing we had another funding mechanism to take care of that. I personally enjoy clean drinking water. I enjoy blacktop roads. I enjoy police protection and first responder care. We've got to figure out a way to pay for it. Again, a constitutional amendment is what it's going to require. And to say I'm against it, being a conservative, I would be for no taxes. But let's be realistic. We're going to have to find a funding mechanism that takes that over. And if we can find that funding mechanism, then I would be more than happy to support that. Currently right now, House Bill 51 is trying to get into some of that, and I think Representative Gordon may be familiar with that as far as freezing your property tax at age 65, which I think is something that we need to work in that direction before we completely look at trying to eliminate that funding mechanism. What it basically does is at age 65, if your home is worth $50,000, and that's what it's being assessed at, we're going to leave it at $50,000 at what it was when you turned age 65 and retired. I don't care if it goes to $600,000 marketable value. We're going to freeze that through House Bill 51. I think things like that might need to be explored before we just completely pull the rug out and say we're going to try it. Because if not, we're going to be back in 2 years looking at a constitutional amendment to figure out how we're going to fund the rest of our life. So we need to be very careful about a complete elimination of anything that is a vast majority of what our income is when it comes to a state budget. So yes, I would be a proponent of it, but let's find a mechanism first that's going to replace it. So we can't continue to cut it and where we get up and turn the faucet on and guess what? We're out getting a bucket of water. I've done that. I don't want to do that anymore. So, but again, let's think about that. We might start property tax with things like automobiles and do things like that. Start it at a smaller level and work it towards property. Again, something that has an opportunity to take place.
Absolutely, I'd love to end property taxes, but I'm not going to, get the cart, you know, before I get the horse. We're gonna have to take a very good, close look at this. As I mentioned before in previous comments, I think we should look at it. It's gonna take a constitutional, but, you know, I'm for it. Property taxes in Madison County brings in about, I think, $5 million. I think we should freeze the taxes. I'm at 62 is where I think the assessment should be froze. I think we should take a great look at that. I think it could happen, as I stated before. I don't think we should have any property taxes on agricultural land in the state of Kentucky. Give them a break. Give the farmers a break. Give the young people a break. But we got to take a good look at it, come up with the alternative, where that revenue was, what will bring it back to where it is. So yes, I think we need to be very careful in saying we're going to eliminate property taxes. I know there's a lot of talk out there that can work, but they're coming up with an alternative. I don't think it's a win-win thing right now for an alternative tax to be put on the people doing away with property taxes. I think that it's going to take a little time, maybe a couple more sessions, but I think we can get a good start if we start freezing the property tax assessments.
Yeah. So I think as far as the funding goes, I'm obviously for freezing property taxes, just eliminating them altogether, whether it be a ballot measure or whatever. But as far as revenue coming in, look at consumption taxes. Odds are, if you go to the grocery store with your family of four, you spend the same amount of money as I do. It's not unevenly distributed like they want to say. I think consumption tax, if you increased a little bit of consumption tax, would go a long way for property tax. Property tax is a burden. It is a burden to farmers. It's a burden to you. It's a burden to renters, you know, because if property taxes are there, your landlord is going to raise your rent if property taxes increase. It affects everyone. But I think it unevenly affects everyone. I think a consumption tax is the only thing that is fair. But yeah, we have to find funding, and I think that goes back to local control. We have to have a lot more local control in this state. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have a lot of that, but I would like to allow a lot of these bills and stuff that I plan on passing to give a lot of this power back to the counties. Your county magistrates, your judge executives, your jailers, whoever it may be, you probably go to church with those people. You go to ball games with those people. You talk to those people every day. Sometimes you don't talk to your state representative. You know, for example, if you have multiple counties, you may not see the guy until they come to, you know, hey, I'm knocking on your door. I'm here for another vote. I'm ready to go back to Frankfort. So I think giving that power back to the counties is something that we need to do.
Yeah, it's a complicated issue for sure, because no one wants to pay property taxes, and we always need to look at ways that we can reduce that. And so I think we have to look at it by a couple different bites at the apple. If you say we always need to look at controlling spending and being responsible with our dollars and always budgeting to needs and not wants. And then also with some of the caps that we've put in place. But again, the Constitution clearly states how local governments can raise revenue. And that is the biggest bulk of property tax dollars. The state could eliminate the state portion, but the local portion would still remain. So it's a complicated issue. Consumption taxes would be a possible way if we raise that. But, you know, right now we exempt food, we exempt medicine. Do we want to start taxing that? I don't think so either. So it is something that's a constant conversation. I know when I get my property tax bill on my car, I wish I could sell it for what they say that it's valued at. So maybe we can look at a useful life of boats or cars and things like that. But it is a discussion that we have regularly.
Rebuttal? Everyone good? Okay. Rebuttal?
I would say one thing just very quickly. I read an article this week that said if we went to a consumption tax and to exchange our property tax rate, it would take a 12.5% to 13% consumption tax rate to offset that of the property tax. Again, be careful what we wish for, because it could be pretty ugly. So that would be the only thing I would be aware of and be questionable about. 12.5%. You know, in my industry, I'm a new car dealer. I would hate to think that you're paying $6,000 and $7,000 for sales tax on this purchase of an automobile. You're talking about crippling an industry and an economy in Kentucky.
All right.
I think us as taxpayers can spend our dollars better than the government can, and I'll leave it at that.
Representative?
That's why we have been continually reducing your income tax.
All right, folks, we're going to combine a few questions. We're almost through this together, right? So I appreciate you all. Folks, we're going to move to education, if we will, and I'm going to combine two questions. We're going to rock and roll. So schools like the University of Kentucky spent $32,800,000 per year in promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, which is really known as divisive education initiatives that violate Supreme Court precedents such as Student for Fair Admissions, which created discrimination, preferential treatment, and prejudicial treatment based upon race and sex. We know it happened in higher education, and it was a billion-dollar enterprise, and we know it happens in K through 12. So two-part question. First, especially in K through 12, do you support banning DEI and protecting the civil rights of students in K through 12? And then two, because we want to ensure that we have an efficient and effective school system, if you could make a major change to improve education for K through 12, what would it be and how would you pay for it? Mr. Simpson.
Yeah, so speaking on DEI, why are we talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion in K through 12? It's ridiculous. I don't even know why this is a topic that we have to discuss. Fortunately, here in Kentucky, I think that everybody's on the same page. Unfortunately, in other places, they are not. I don't know, absolutely, to the question, I would absolutely support banning that, period. The other part of the question, sorry, just give me a minute here. What was the other question?
How would you?
If you could make a change to improve Kentucky's K through 12, and pause this time, K through 12 education system, what would it be and how would you pay for it?
Yeah, so speaking on that, I spoke on it earlier with the Ignite program here in the county. I think that's a good avenue for these students who are not going to college. Unfortunately for me, I mean, I had a lot of teachers look at me and say, hey, you're not going to college, and I kind of figured that out as well. But I think if we expanded those programs across the state for Ignite, similar vocational schools, and direct these people into the workforce. Here in the county, we have a huge industry. I work at Intersys, the battery plant. If we could have maintenance technicians or welders or machine shop operators or pipe fitters, plumbers, all coming straight out of college or straight out of public schools and funnel them into the workforce, you're going to have a lot more beneficial place to live.
Thank you.
We have banned DEI, and we will continue to do that. We are looking at every area where that is occurring, and we are calling it out and making people accountable for that. Every child is different. Every child learns differently. We have to be focused on the outcome. It doesn't need to be what color of their skin or any of those types of social parameters. It's another layer of bureaucracy, and it does lead to cost, and so we are rooting that out at every level. As far as a change that I would like to see in education, with any business, your staff and your employees are what's most important, and we need to support our teachers and make sure that they are supported in every way. We have a bill right now that will also ensure that staff or administration is not paid at a higher rate of increase than those teachers. And so I think it's important that they have the resources that they need, because you're going to save in hiring and rehiring. And we have a wonderful institution right here in town in EKU that is a wonderful pipeline for us. As to the Ignite program, it is something that is very popular. We have expanded that throughout the state, and we have many wonderful partnerships with manufacturers. So when they do have a new piece of equipment that's coming in, they're able to have people trained and ready for the workforce when they leave. I know Stephanie Nelson, she probably won't mind me telling this, her daughter is coming out of high school and she's going to have several nursing certificates. And so I think it's a wonderful way of fast-tracking students into the workforce without having to stair-step from education to learning your hours to getting your degree. We can do all of that in one process.
Thank you.
Yes, I would be for banning DEI in K through 12. I don't think we need it. I think that's not what we need to be working on right now. So let's talk about education for K through 12. When I take a look at this situation we're doing, I think our children are the future. They're our foundation. We need to knock nothing down and getting our K through third grade. We have got third graders that if they're behind 35%, the numbers tell us this, right here, that they're going to be struggling to get out of high school. So if I want to focus on one thing in education in the future, is get our K through second grade. We don't need to let our children not be forgotten on their education. Now, everybody's not planning on going to college. Everybody's not planning on going to any other type of school. But we need to start working with our K through third graders to make sure that we're back to the basics, that they're learning the multiplications. They're spelling good. We're not giving them just another grade to pass. So we need to start working on the master things of education. Not just, 30 different things teaching these kids, but we need to get back to basics because we have a lot of children that are getting from second to third grade that's starting to fall. 35% of those age groups are starting to fall behind already at the third grade. So we really need to stay focused on that. And if we need to create a revenue stream, maybe some of this waste that we find in Frankfurt can generate that stream for those kids.
I don't think DEI is a real problem for us in our area, in K through 12. But yes, it definitely needs to be eliminated. And it's already not, and the reason it's not a problem is because we have supermajority in our legislature and we're still fighting a governor that would love to see it come back. I think we're doing a great job in our legislature fighting DEI. As far as funding education, I want to see some of that money get to my wife's first grade class and not the $1.6 billion we put at KDE to let them manage. I think getting that money back to local control is probably the way to fund that education. $1.6 billion in the Kentucky Department of Education. You just saw the auditor's account of what's going on and some of the money that was spent with KDE. Listen to some of the podcasts and listen to the money that was spent. Put that money back to the classroom where it belongs. Give it back to local controls. Let your local school board, your local superintendent control that money, get it back in their classrooms. Let our teachers teach. The quality of education is great. Look in this room right now. People that have made good livings over their life, they bought homes, they've raised their children. The quality of public education is not lost. It's just it's misconstrued and it's going down the wrong road. We need to get back on track with that. And I think we can start that with KDE. As far as DEI, I don't think there's anything in our life should not be merit-based. To quote a current U.S. Senate campaign, it's not a sin to be white. It's not against the law to be a Christian. I don't need somebody telling me what I can do and what I can't do. So yes, we need to stop DEI, K through collegiate. It doesn't matter. But we also need to look at taking that $1.6 billion in fraud that we're spending at KDE and redistribute it.
Rebuttal? And folks, if you don't mind, let's keep it to 30 seconds. We are running out of time. Rebuttal? Rebuttal? We good to rock and roll? Well, folks, there are plenty more questions that we wanted to ask. And again, this is the first Madison County Forum that we have held in quite a while. And as moderators, we're human, and we appreciate your patience with our candidates and the grace that you all have shown us. We also appreciate the patience and grace that the audience and then also our viewers at home are showing us as well. So folks, I do have a rapid fire question, and one that I think that you all should expect me to ask that I forgot to ask in your questionnaire. You have 20 seconds. As you all know, that a lot of us here, including Liam and I, got our start defending campus free speech to ensure that we can be able to speak freely, think freely, express freely, and be free on college campuses through the First Amendment and Section 1, which protects your ability to believe freely, think freely, and speak freely in our Kentucky Constitution. Will you uphold the First Amendment and protect the right to speak freely and the First Amendment rights on campuses and Kentuckians if reelected? Representative? For it.
100%.
Mr. Hensley?
100%.
Mr. Billings?
Yes.
Quickest answers that we've had tonight. So folks, I appreciate it. We're going to get into closing. I know I promised 4 minutes. Can we keep it to 3 and let's wrap up, shall we? Okay, another coin flip that we had earlier. Mr. Billings.
Thank you very much. Again, I appreciate the opportunity. I wish we had time to go through every one of the things that we've done, some of the questions you had, because you all done a great job putting the questions together. I think there's a lot more that our citizens need to know. Hopefully they'll get to know more of that as we get to interact with them going forward between now and May. You know, I've been really blessed in this particular candidacy to have the endorsement of 2 U.S. congressmen, have the endorsement of our Kentucky State Agricultural Commissioner, have the endorsement of our Kentucky State Treasurer, to have the endorsement of our Kentucky Speaker of the House of Representatives, and various members of our General Assembly. I think that's one of the things I get to bring to the table in this particular race. Going to Frankfurt isn't about just getting in a car and driving down there and sitting at a desk and having a couple interns take care of what you need to do. It's about the relationships you've built and the ability to go to Frankfurt and convince 60 of your legislative colleagues that what's good for Madison, Estill, and Powell County is good for the Commonwealth. We face the same issues every day that other communities in our state do. But being able to go down there and convince those legislators that what's important there is also important here, I think that's something that I can truly bring to the table. And I've done that for the last 3 decades of my life with those relationship buildings. I will say again, my wife, my family, we've made a commitment to the 91st District. Every family member I have lived and worked in the 91st District our entire lives. We understand our wants, we understand our needs, and we want to continue to go to Frankfurt to do one thing and one thing only, make a difference.
Ready? Mr. Hensley.
Thank you for this was an outstanding event. I appreciate it. What I bring to the table for the 91st District is leadership. I love to serve the people, but I'm bold where I stand. And I love to work. There's no doubt about it. I've got a lot of stuff behind me that will help prepare me to go to Frankfurt. I've been a server for people for a long time. When you start working for the county at 29 years old, 2 terms as a magistrate, continually support your community. Since I've retired, I've been very active supporting my hometown. Madison County, I spent half my life over here too. It's been a wonderful relationship with Madison County. Like I said in my opening statement, I went to Madison Central in 1977, 1978. Know a lot of friends. I know what's needed. I've seen this place grow tremendously. I can tell you that when I get to Frankfurt, I'm going to start going for the 91st District. What we need, what we talked about here tonight. We have a lot of questions that we faced, and those are important questions. When I get to Frankfurt, I'm going to reach out and tell them about what the 91st District needs, the roads, the bridges. I mean, you got to have a vision. And when that vision, you need passion. And I've got a vision for the 91st District. I can tell you right now that at the 4th fastest growing county here in Madison County in the state of Kentucky, we need a vision over here because we need to set some things in place. As I talked about education, I'm very supportive of helping our K through 12. But like I said, we really need to focus on getting these kids back to basics, getting them ready for the next grade. And I think they're going to need support. I think they're going to need some financial help on the revenue from the thing. And I think the waste is in Frankfurt. We're seeing it posted. We have some work to do. I'm not against having internal audits to get that waste, to supplement where we can put the money that's needed. So as your 91st state representative, I'm ready to go to work for you.